The year was 2541. Humanity had explored hundreds of planets, but none like this one. A nameless world lost in the far reaches of the galaxy, filled with ruins of an extinct civilization. At least, that's what NASA believed. Lamar Braga, the greatest extraterrestrial archaeologist of his time, had been sent to uncover the planet's mysteries. Tall, black, with sharp eyes and an even sharper mind, he was a born explorer. His ship landed smoothly on a lush green field, surrounded by colossal trees whose leaves emitted a faint blue glow. The air was rich in oxygen, breathable. He adjusted the camera attached to his helmet and started walking. Each step echoed across the black stone ground. Soon the towering ruins appeared before him, entire cities swallowed by vegetation. Twisted skyscrapers, spherical domes cracked by time, the structures were made of an alien stone, resilient and strangely radiant under the light of the system's two suns. This was a metropolis, he murmured, fascinated. As he explored, something caught his attention. A smaller house, still intact, its smooth walls reflecting the orange hues of the setting sun. He activated his helmet light and stepped inside. The interior looked recently inhabited. Intact furniture, scattered objects, a faint sweet scent lingering in the air. But what truly made his heart pound was the sound of running water and a voice. Feminine. Lamar swallowed hard and moved cautiously. A translucent curtain separated the room from where the noise was coming from. Trembling, he pulled back a section of the fabric and saw something that defied everything he knew. A woman. Not a human woman, but not entirely alien either. Her skin was a brilliant shade of blue, shimmering under the water. Her body was slender, curvy, and mesmerizing, moving slowly as she bathed. Silver hair cascaded down her back like liquid metal. Her eyes, large, feline, shone like distant stars. She hadn't noticed him yet. Lamar, without realizing it, activated his recording mode. He couldn't believe it. The civilization they thought was extinct still existed. And it was beautiful. But before he could process it, she turned. Their eyes met. A second of paralysis. "Shit," Lamar whispered. She screamed, a high-pitched sound almost hypnotic, and then she lunged at him. Before he could react, a powerful impact slammed him against the wall. His vision blurred. He felt her warm skin against his before everything went dark. When he woke up, he was restrained. Alien bindings held his wrists and ankles. He was in a vast chamber, surrounded by many of them, all similar to the first, but with distinct features, eyes of different colors, hair in vibrant shades, sculpted bodies that defied human logic. They spoke in a guttural language, but soon one of them stepped forward and spoke in English. "You are a male, a true male." Lamar blinked a few times, still groggy. What's going on?" He tried to move, but couldn't. The light blue alien who had attacked him stepped closer, her eyes half-lidded, as if studying him. Then, without warning, she touched his face with her cool fingers and slid her hand down his chest. "Only the males died. We are all that's left. Our species must continue. You can help us, or you can be discarded." A chill ran down Lamar's spine. His heart pounded, not just from fear. They were stunning, magnetic, dangerous. And in that moment, he saw an opportunity for something far greater. "Well," he smirked, "maybe we can talk about this." The chamber where Lamar was held was vast, illuminated by bioluminescent crystals pulsing in shades of blue and violet. The floor was made of polished black stone, reflecting the exotic figures of the aliens around him. The women continued to stare, some with curiosity, others with pure suspicion. The leader, the same one who had attacked him, stepped even closer, tilting her head slightly as she studied his face. "You are not like the males we knew," she said, her voice low, almost melodic. They were weaker, and they did not have that defiance in their eyes. Lamar let out a short laugh. I'm an archaeologist, not a warrior, but I can be many things, depending on the situation. The alien women exchanged glances. Some murmured among themselves in their unknown language. The leader stepped closer, leaning over him, her face just inches from his. We need you, human. We need a male to bring our species back. Her fingers slid along his chin, her skin cold and smooth to the touch. But there is a price for your freedom. Lamar felt the warmth of her body so close to his. His heart pounded. He wasn't sure if it was fear, adrenaline, or something more primal. What kind of price? He murmured. She smiled, a smile filled with intent. You will be our king, our leader, but you must prove your worth. The archaeologist raised an eyebrow. I like the idea of being king. His smirk widened. But what do I have to do to prove myself? The alien women stepped back, creating an open space in the center of the hall. On the far side, a stone door slid upward, revealing a dark corridor. The leader pointed toward it. Survive, and then you will be one of us. Lamar glanced at the corridor, then back at the aliens. A challenge, a test, a game of power. He liked this. With one last look at the leader, he grinned and stepped into the unknown. The corridor stretched out like a living tunnel, its walls pulsing with bluish hues, as if the very structure was breathing. Lamar walked cautiously, each accelerated heartbeat echoing through the tight space. He knew this was a test, a game of life and death. The aliens wanted him to prove his worth. But he wasn't a warrior. He was an archaeologist, an explorer. If they were expecting a man who would fight beasts and deadly challenges, they might have chosen the wrong person. However, intelligence had always been his greatest weapon, and now he needed to use it. Footsteps echoed behind him. Lamar turned and saw something emerging from the shadows. A humanoid figure, but grotesque, skin as hard as stone, glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws. The last remnant of their male species, perhaps? A guardian? An enemy? He didn't wait to find out. The creature roared and lunged. Lamar dodged on instinct, rolling to the side. The beast's claw sliced through the air just inches from his face. He stumbled, hitting his back against the pulsating wall and shivering at the sensation. The ground beneath him began to shift, as if the corridor itself was alive. Everything on this planet seemed to have a mind of its own. Think, Lamar, think. The creature charged again. This time, Lamar noticed the wall, tiny cracks, air vents, maybe even hidden mechanisms. Something in this structure could be used against the monster. With a quick step back, he grabbed a loose stone from the floor and hurled it with all his strength into one of the crevices. The impact triggered an internal mechanism. A sharp hissing sound filled the air before a burst of blue light shot across the corridor. The creature let out a guttural scream and recoiled, shielding its eyes. It was sensitive to light. Lamar didn't waste a second. He sprinted down the corridor, leaping over obstacles and dodging tendrils emerging from the ground. The creature was still trying to recover, but it was too late. He had reached a door at the end of the tunnel. With a hard shove, he burst through to the other side, and the entrance sealed behind him. Catching his breath, he realized he had entered a new chamber. But this one was different. It was a temple. Altars with unknown symbols were scattered throughout, each holding a shimmering gem. And in the center, a throne of black stone. The alien women were there, watching. The leader, the light blue-skinned woman, smiled, her gaze approving. You survived, she murmured, stepping forward. But more than that, you proved your intelligence. You are different from the males we knew. Lamar wiped the sweat from his forehead, his muscles still tense from the adrenaline. I hope that means the test is over. The alien tilted her head, studying him. Then she pointed to the throne. "Sit." He hesitated. This was the moment that would define his fate. If he sat there, he would accept the role they wanted for him: a king, a leader, a progenitor. With a deep breath, he walked to the throne and settled into it. The stone was cold, yet strangely comfortable. The moment he sat down, the jewels around the chamber glowed more intensely, as if responding to his presence. The leader knelt before him, her eyes shining with satisfaction. "Now, Lamar Braga, you belong to us, and we to you." The other alien women bowed in unison. Lamar looked at them, feeling the weight of the moment. He had come to this planet as an explorer, but now he was becoming something far greater, something that would alter the course of human history, and that of this supposedly extinct civilization, or perhaps not so extinct after all. He smiled. "Let's see where this takes us." Lamar felt the gravity of the moment pressing down on his shoulders. Seated on the throne, with the alien women kneeling around him, he understood that his life would never be the same again. He was no longer just an explorer. Now he was the bridge between two civilizations. The leader, the light blue-skinned woman, stepped forward with slow, deliberate movements. Her feline eyes gleamed under the blue glow of the pulsing jewels. She ascended the steps of the throne until she stood before him, her silhouette outlined by the ethereal glow of the chamber. "You chose to stay," she whispered. Lamar smirked, exhaustion and adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "Not sure I had much of a choice, to be honest, but I'm not one to run from a good opportunity." She leaned in, her eyes studying every detail of his face. Her scent was sweet, with a faint metallic note, like morning dew on alien stone. The cool touch of her fingers traced along his chin, outlining the sharp angles of his jaw. "Long ago, we lost our men," she continued, her voice like an ancient melody. "But our kind was never meant to be alone, and you, human, have proven that you are more than just a traveller among the stars." Lamar held his breath as she drew closer. She was near, too near. The warmth of her body mingled with his. A silent game unfolded between them, a thick tension, charged with meaning. "Your name," he said softly. "You never told me your name." Her lips curved slightly. "Zura." Lamar repeated the name to himself, as if engraving it into his mind. Then, without hesitation, he raised a hand to her face, tracing the delicate curve of her shimmering blue cheek. Zora closed her eyes for a moment, leaning into his touch. "Are you sure you want to go down this path?" he asked, his voice rough. She opened her eyes, and without a word, she leaned in further until her lips met his. The kiss was a collision of worlds, a meeting of species. But above all, it was real. Lamar felt the softness of her lips, the exotic taste that sent a shiver through his skin. His hands found her slender waist, pulling her closer. She straddled him on the throne, their bodies adjusting naturally. The entire chamber watched in silence, but in that instant, nothing else mattered. Her touch was firm, yet curious, exploring a new and forbidden territory. Lamar's pulse quickened as her nails lightly trailed along the back of his neck. When they finally parted, both were breathing heavily. Zora's eyes were dark, intense. "You are ours now, Lamar Braga." She slid her fingers down his chest, feeling his racing heartbeat. "And I am yours." He clasped her hand against his chest, absorbing every detail of the moment. He had never imagined that an expedition would lead to this. But perhaps, he thought, this was the true meaning of exploration: to discover the unexpected, to embrace the improbable, and to allow oneself to be changed by it. The other alien women watched, some with subtle smiles, others simply observing this historic moment. Something greater was unfolding here. A silent pact. A promise of rebirth. Zora rose and extended her hand to him. "Come, there is much to be done." Lamar stared at her hand for a moment before grasping it firmly. With one last glance at the chamber, the glowing jewels, and the throne that was now his, he stood. "Then let's build a new future together." And so, the archaeologist who had travelled from a distant world became part of something far greater. The last forgotten civilization of the galaxy had found its new leader, its new beginning. And Lamar Braga had found something he never expected, a home. His fate now lay among the stars, but his heart belonged to Zora.